The Los Angeles Lakers find themselves in a unique position heading into this upcoming season. There's a lot of uncertainty in the air, and while fans are hopeful for a deep playoff run, there's also plenty of discussion behind the scenes about potential trades that could reshape the core of the team. One name that keeps coming up, and not without controversy, is Austin Reaves. Loved by some, doubted by others, he's right in the middle of a potential storm brewing between LA and teams like the Houston Rockets. And it's not just smoke. There's real logic behind why both franchises might consider pulling the trigger on a deal involving him. Let's start with Houston. They're in an odd spot right now. With Fred VanVleet going down and no true replacement on the roster, there's a glaring hole in the backcourt. Sure, they've got young talent. Guys like Reed Shepherd could develop into something, but that's a huge gamble for a franchise trying to establish itself in the playoff conversation. If the season starts and things spiral early, the Rockets could very easily slip into desperation mode. And when a team gets desperate, that's when deals start happening. Houston might look at someone like Gabe Vincent as a short-term fix, especially with his contract being an expiring one. He could come in, play a VanVleet-type role, offer some stability, and Houston wouldn't be locked into a long-term commitment. That's appealing. But if they're thinking bigger, and let's be honest, they should be, then a guy like Austin Reaves becomes very interesting. He's young, he's shown flashes of being a legit playmaker, and he's on one of the best value contracts in the league right now. That last part is huge, because as much as the Lakers love having a player like Reaves under contract at a bargain price, that same fact makes it incredibly difficult to use him in a blockbuster trade. His salary is so low that to bring in someone of higher caliber, the Lakers would have to package him with other significant pieces. Maybe a Rui Hachimura or a promising rookie like Dalton Connect, just to make the numbers work. And that's where Houston stands out as a rare potential partner. They've got young, versatile wings that actually line up with Reeves' salary range. Players like Tari Eason, Jayshawn Tate, or even a veteran center like Clint Capella could be part of a package that works financially without gutting the Lakers roster. Plus, Houston might be willing to include a draft asset or two if the need becomes urgent enough. Remember, Fred VanVleet isn't just a player for that Rockets team. He's their floor general, their leader, their voice in the locker room. If the chemistry starts to break down or the young guys don't develop fast enough, Houston may decide they need a more proven guard who can handle the ball, create plays, and ease the burden on guys like Jalen Green or Alperen Sengun. Austin Reaves fits that mold. He's not just a shooter or a role player. At his best, he's shown the ability to run the offense, to attack off the dribble, to draw fouls, and even to close games. But the catch here is that we haven't consistently seen that version of him. In the playoffs, especially, he often got relegated to a spot-up shooter. His three-point attempts went through the roof, nearly doubling from the regular season, and that's not really his game. He can hit shots, sure, but he's most effective when the ball is in his hands, making decisions, probing the defense, and keeping defenders honest. When he's stuck just waiting on the perimeter, his impact is limited. That's why some Lakers fans are questioning the fit. Is Reaves really the third piece behind LeBron James and Luka Doncic? Assuming Luka stays in the picture, of course. Or is he being asked to play a role that doesn't match his skill set? If the answer leans toward the latter, then moving him might not be the worst idea. Especially if you can get back a long-term piece like Jabari Smith Jr., who brings size, youth, shooting, and defensive versatility. That will be a massive win for LA. But again, it all depends on how desperate Houston gets and what they're willing to part with. On the flip side, there's real risk here for the Lakers. Trading away a guy like Reaves isn't just about what you're giving up. It's about what you might be losing long-term. He's under contract for a few more years at a ridiculously team-friendly number. That kind of value is almost impossible to find in today's league. You trade him, and suddenly you're looking at replacing his production with someone more expensive or less efficient. Plus, Reaves is still improving. What if this season is his breakout year? What if he proves he could be that third star, the connector who bridges the gap between LeBron and Luka? If that happens, and you've already moved on from him, you might spend the next few years regretting it. That's why there's so much division in the fan base. You've got one group that sees Reaves as the next great Laker, a scrappy, underdog story who blossomed into a core piece. They see the hustle plays, the big shots, the poise in crunch time, and they don't want to let go of that. Then you've got the other group that thinks he's overrated, that he disappears in big moments, and that the Lakers would be better off flipping him for someone more consistent or more physically gifted. The truth, as always, is probably somewhere in the middle. Reeves is a good player, a really good one, in fact, but he's not untouchable. And in a league where every team is trying to build for both now and the future, you have to constantly evaluate your assets. If Reeves starts the season hot, if he's clearly thriving in this new system, then maybe you ride it out and see how far it can go. But if the fit feels clunky, if he's once again pushed into a role that doesn't suit him, then it might be time to explore options. Houston presents one of the more realistic paths to making a move, not just because they have the players, but because they have the right players. Young, athletic, versatile, and cheap enough to match salaries without tearing apart the Lakers' core. And let's not forget the timing. Many of the players Houston just signed can't be traded until mid-December or even January. So if a deal is going to happen, it's probably going to be closer to the trade deadline anyway. That gives both teams time to assess where they stand. The Lakers can see how Reeves looks next to Luka and LeBron. The Rockets can evaluate how much they miss VanVleet and whether their young backcourt is ready to step up. If both sides feel a shift is needed, the conversations will get real. And at that point, it's about whether the pieces align. Could it be Jabari Smith and Jayshawn Tate? Could it be Clint Capella and a young wing? Or even a surprise name like Reed Shepherd, if Houston decides to cut bait early? These are the kinds of moves that could define a franchise's next 5 years. It's not just about swapping players. It's about betting on a vision. The Lakers want to maximize their window with LeBron and Luka. The Rockets are looking for a post-VanVleet era solution that doesn't set them back. And Austin Reeves, sitting right in the middle, might just be the key to unlocking both teams' futures. Now here's where things get even more complicated for the Lakers. Trading Austin Reeves is not just about finding the right partner or receiving the right value. It's also about how that move reshapes the identity of this team. When you look at Reeves, what makes him valuable isn't just his stats or contract. It's the way he fits into the locker room, the culture, and the flow of the offense. He's one of those glue guys, not the flashiest player, but someone who connects the stars with the role players. He brings energy without demanding touches. He understands spacing, and he's got just enough edge to rise to big moments without getting overwhelmed. That's a rare combination. You don't just find guys like that sitting at the end of someone else's bench. But despite all that, the reality is the Lakers are in win-now mode. With LeBron James not getting any younger and Luka Doncic now on board, assuming this new core sticks, the pressure to deliver is immense. Every game is under a microscope. Every rotation decision, every off-ball movement, every shooting slump suddenly becomes a national conversation. And in that context, every roster spot has to be optimized. If Reeves doesn't clearly fit as the third option or isn't taking a noticeable leap forward, then the front office will have some difficult conversations to face, especially if other teams are calling and a package from Houston with players who fill positional needs more cleanly is sitting there on the table. Let's say the Rockets struggle out of the gate. Fred VanVleet's absence creates a vacuum, and Reed Shepherd or Amen Thompson aren't quite ready to carry the load. If that happens, suddenly someone like Reeves becomes incredibly appealing. He brings immediate help, has playoff experience, and could slide in next to their young core without demanding to be the guy. And because of his age and contract, he's not a rental. He's a legitimate building block. That alone might make Houston willing to offer more than they typically would for a player of his caliber. Think about that. A team giving up not just a solid rotation piece, but possibly a starter and a pick, just to bring in someone who fits both the timeline and the system. Now, let's flip back to the Lakers' point of view. If they're having trouble with consistency early in the season, if the bench looks thin, if they're struggling to match up with bigger, more athletic teams, then acquiring someone like Jabari Smith Jr. starts to make more sense. His size, length, and shooting could be a better complement to the Luke Anthony Davis core. You suddenly get more versatility, more switchability on defense, and you don't have to sacrifice offensive spacing. That's the type of piece that's hard to find, especially at Smith's age and contract. It would be a calculated risk, sure, but one that might elevate the ceiling of the team in a meaningful way. There's also the financial angle to consider. While Reeves is cheap now, that changes eventually. Right now, he's on a team-friendly deal, which is part of what makes him such a valuable asset. But as soon as that deal ends, or if his production outpaces that value, you're suddenly faced with the prospect of either overpaying to keep him or letting him walk for nothing. Neither option is ideal. The idea of flipping him while he's still affordable and desirable could actually be a smart long-term play. You'd be selling high. The trick is finding a deal that doesn't just match value on paper, but makes sense for the team's current direction. And again, Houston is one of the few teams that has the right combination of needs, assets, and flexibility to make that kind of trade possible. Their roster is loaded with long, two-way wings, but they're short on playmakers. They gambled on a certain roster construction, going heavy on length and defense, but now they're a little light in the ball-handling department. If Van Vliet's injury proves to be more serious, or if the offense just doesn't click without him, they'll have to look outside. And that's when a guy like Reeves, who can score, pass, and defend multiple positions, becomes not just a target, but a priority. Of course, everything comes down to timing. Most of Houston's key players can't be traded until later in the season due to signing restrictions. So if anything is going to happen, it'll be closer to the trade deadline. That gives both sides time to assess. It gives the Lakers a chance to see how Reeves fits within this system over a longer sample size. It gives Houston time to evaluate their internal options, to see what they really have in their young backcourt. And it gives the front offices time to negotiate something that could work without rushing into a panic deal. But even if the Lakers don't move Reeves before the deadline, the conversations will continue. Because every game he plays adds new information. Every big performance makes his value go up. Every off night fuels the arguments of those who think he's expendable. That tension isn't going away. And in today's NBA, where rosters are constantly evolving and front offices are under pressure to act quickly, a player like Reeves can go from untouchable to trade centerpiece in a matter of weeks. That's just the nature of the business. And let's not ignore what kind of player the Lakers might actually be targeting. A lot of fans throw out names without considering the financial and contractual realities. But someone like Trey Murphy, Jalen Suggs, or even Reed Shepherd would be near-perfect fits. Young guards or wings who can shoot, defend, and don't need the ball in their hands all the time. Problem is, those guys are either too expensive or simply unavailable. You'd have to package Reeves with multiple pieces just to make the math work. That's where Houston again becomes attractive. You can potentially swap Reeves for one or two guys who match his salary and skill set, plus maybe get a draft asset out of it. That's a rare setup in this league. Before we continue, we ask that you leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any exclusive Lakers updates. Moving on. Oh my God. The Los Angeles Lakers may be on the verge of seismic shakeup in the NBA, and all eyes are now turning to one name, YAM MADAR. The Israeli guard, who has been making waves in European basketball circles, is rumored to be arriving in Los Angeles with a star-studded aura that could ignite the Staples Center like never before. Sources close to the team hint that MADAR isn't just another signing. They're treating him as a potential centerpiece for the Lakers' backcourt, a move that could signal a bold new direction for a franchise always hungry for championships. For those who have followed MADAR's career, this wouldn't come as a complete shock. Known for his lightning-quick handles, razor-sharp court vision, and clutch shooting, MADAR has been hailed as one of Israel's brightest talents in recent years. But the whispers in LA are something else entirely. Insiders suggest that Lakers executives are not just bringing him over to fill a roster spot. They see him as a marketable star, a player who could energize the fan base while fitting seamlessly alongside the team's established veterans. Imagine a lineup with LeBron James orchestrating around a nimble, international guard who can slice through defenses and hit timely threes. Lakers fans might finally have a new flavor of excitement in the City of Angels. The timing of this rumor is fueling speculation even further. As the Lakers wrestle with questions about depth, playmaking, and the next chapter post their recent campaigns, the addition of MADAR could be a game changer, both on the court and in the locker room. Social media is already buzzing, with hashtags trending and fans debating whether MADAR is ready for the pressure cooker that is Los Angeles basketball. European scouts are reportedly sending congratulatory notes, impressed by the fact that one of their own might be catapulted into the NBA spotlight so dramatically. Of course, nothing is official yet, but the buzz is undeniable. If MADAR lands in Los Angeles as suggested, the Lakers' off-season narrative could shift overnight from cautious optimism to uncontainable hype. Could YAM MADAR be the sleeper star who transforms the Lakers into a powerhouse once again? Or is this just another tantalizing rumor destined to swirl without substance? One thing's for sure, the Lakers universe is holding its breath, and every eye in the NBA will be on MADAR, the Israeli sensation who might just arrive in LA with star status already in hand. Stay informed exclusively about Los Angeles Lakers news. Subscribe to our channel and hit the like button to keep receiving daily updates. Also, share your opinion on the news in the comments, as your contribution is crucial for the Lakers. Stay tuned for the next video.